Hi, I'm Aviana. Growing up in the shadow of my cousin Jason was like watching someone play life with cheat codes. While I took the bus to public school, he cruised past in his shiny BMW, a 16th birthday gift from Uncle Richard. Today, 10 years later, I still drive the used Honda I bought with 3 summers of waitressing tips. You're seriously letting Jason invest in your app idea? Emma's voice carried across the coffee shop, her eyebrows disappearing beneath her bangs. The same cousin who once told you that entrepreneurship isn't really for people like you? I stirred my latte, watching the caramel swirl. He has connections, Em. Venture capital connections I could never access. And what does dear cousin Jason get in return? Emma leaned forward, her bracelets clinking against the table. Just a small partnership stake. 20%. I couldn't meet her eyes. 20% for making a phone call? Aviana, you've spent 2 years developing this algorithm. It's still my company. I'll be CEO. Until he introduces you to his fancy friends as my cousin with a cute little app idea I'm helping out. Emma's fingers made air quotes. Promise me you'll get everything in writing. I nodded, though the contract Jason had emailed remained unopened in my inbox. He's family, Em. Family who's never had to work for anything, she muttered. Just be careful. 3 weeks later, I was scanning TechCrunch when my coffee mug shattered against the kitchen floor. Emma, are you near a computer? My voice sounded distant, even to myself. Morning to you too, sunshine. What's up? Search JTech Solutions unveils revolutionary financial planning algorithm. The silence on Emma's end stretched until I thought the call had dropped. Avi, is this my algorithm? The one I showed Jason last month? The one he said needed more development before pitching to investors? Yes, Emma, that's the one. This says he's been developing it for years. There's a quote from him about his journey creating it. My fingers gripped the phone tighter. Keep reading. Oh my God, Avi. They're valuing the company at $12 million. Did you sign anything with him? No, I whispered. He kept saying the lawyers were drafting something more favorable to me. That snake, Emma hissed. We need to call someone. A lawyer, the tech blogs, someone. My Aunt Sophia's incoming call flashed on my screen. I have to go. Aunt Sophia's calling? Aviana? Aunt Sophia's voice trembled. Have you seen the news about Jason? I just did. I was at their house for dinner last night. Richard was bragging about how Jason finally found his calling with this algorithm. When he described it, honey, it sounds exactly like what you showed me at Christmas. My stomach twisted. It is. I knew it, she whispered. Richard kept saying how lucky it was that Jason had figured it out, just as some major investors were looking to fund exactly this type of platform. Lucky, I echoed hollowly. Aviana, I have to tell you something. After dinner, I overheard Jason on the phone. He was laughing about how his naive cousin had handed him a gold mine and how you'd have no way to prove it was yours. The numbness in my chest cracked, something hot and sharp taking its place. What are you going to do? Aunt Sophia asked. I watched the coffee spreading across my kitchen floor, seeping into the cracks between the tiles. I'm going to make him wish he'd never heard my name. He left digital fingerprints everywhere, Emma said, scrolling through my email history. The original pitch deck you sent him, your development timeline, even his responses asking questions about how the algorithm works. We sat in my apartment, laptops open, piecing together a timeline. 3 empty. Pizza boxes testified to the hours we'd spent building my case. Look at this, I pointed to my screen. His company's first social media post about the revolutionary algorithm was made just 8 days after I walked him through the entire back-end process. Emma whistled. Amateur hour! He didn't even wait a month before announcing it. Aviana? My brother Kyle knocked before entering with a man in a crisp suit. This is Marco Daniels, the IP lawyer I told you about. Marco extended his hand. I've reviewed what Kyle sent over. Your documentation is impressively thorough. I document everything, I said. Force of habit when you grow up being told you're making things up whenever they contradict the family Golden Boys version. That habit just saved your ass, Kyle muttered. Marco spread documents across my coffee table. We have a strong case for intellectual property theft. Your time-stamped development logs, the email exchanges, even the technical specifications you shared with him that appear verbatim in his patent application. Will it be enough? I asked. It's compelling. Marco nodded. But we could use testimony from someone who heard him explicitly discuss stealing your work. My Aunt Sophia overheard him bragging about it, I said. Would she be willing to go on record? I hesitated. She'd be risking her relationship with my Uncle Richard. Who deserves to know his son is a thief? Kyle interjected. My phone buzzed with a text from my cousin Mia. Have you seen Uncle Richard's Instagram? He's throwing Jason a launch party tomorrow night. Celebrating my son's genius? I showed them the message, my throat tight. We should go, Emma said suddenly, to celebrate Jason stealing my life's work. I stared at her. No, Emma's eyes gleamed. To confront him with evidence, surrounded by all those investors and tech journalists he's so eager to impress. That's not advisable from a legal standpoint, Marco cautioned. I'm not suggesting we make accusations publicly, Emma clarified. Just that Aviana deserves to see his face when he realizes she knows. Plus, it might rattle him into making mistakes. Marco frowned. If you do attend, say nothing about the intellectual property claim. We file first thing tomorrow morning. I'm calling Aunt Sophia, I decided. She deserves to know before she sees us there. Aunt Sophia answered on the first ring. I was just about to call you. Richard's throwing this ridiculous party and… I know, I'm going. Silence then. You're braver than I was at your age. I need to ask you something difficult, I said. Would you be willing to testify about what you heard Jason say? About stealing your algorithm? Her voice hardened. Absolutely. Richard has spent a lifetime excusing Jason's behavior. This time there have to be consequences. It might cause problems between you and Uncle Richard, I warned. Honey, the problem isn't me telling the truth. It's that my brother raised a son who thinks stealing is success. She paused. Did I ever tell you that your mother, my sister, came up with the business plan that made Richard's first company successful? My breath caught. No. He never gave her credit either, or the money he promised her. Aunt Sophia's voice cracked. History won't repeat itself. Not with you. Thank you, I whispered. Emma touched my shoulder. You okay? I nodded, something resolute settling in my chest. Tomorrow, Jason learns that some things can't be handed to you, and some things can't be taken without consequences. The launch party sparkled with wealth. Crystal chandeliers, champagne towers, and tech industry elites all gathered in Uncle Richard's sprawling backyard. Jason stood at the center, bathed in admiration and success that rightfully belonged to me. Remember, Marco murmured beside me, we filed the injunction this morning. Don't say anything that could compromise our position. There she is! Jason's voice boomed as he spotted me. He approached with the confidence of someone who believed they'd won. My favorite cousin decided to join the celebration after all. Wouldn't miss it, I replied, my smile tight. Quite an achievement, developing such a complex algorithm. Genius runs in the family, he winked, though it seems to have concentrated in my branch. Emma's hand squeezed my arm in warning. Fascinating, I said. When exactly did you start developing it? Oh, years ago, Jason waved dismissively. These things take time to perfect. Years? I tilted my head. That's not what you told me last month when I showed you my project. His smile flickered. You misunderstood. I was being polite about your similar concept. Similar enough that you used my exact variable names in your code? I kept my voice light. What a coincidence. Jason's eyes darted around the crowd before he gripped my elbow, steering me toward a quieter corner. Let's chat privately, shall we? Marco followed discreetly as Jason pulled me behind a large topiary. What game are you playing, Aviana? Jason hissed, his charm evaporating. No game. Just admiring how quickly you implemented my algorithm. 8 days is impressive. His fingers dug into my arm. You can't prove anything. Every line of code I wrote is time-stamped and backed up. Every conversation we had about it is documented. Aunt Sophia heard you bragging about stealing my work. I pulled free of his grasp. I have proof, Jason. Who do you think these investors will believe? He sneered. The nobody cousin with no connections or me? They'll believe the evidence. Evidence can disappear, he threatened. And so can opportunities for people who don't understand how the game is played. Is that a threat? It's reality. One phone call from my father and you'll never work in tech in this city again. I laughed, the sound brittle. That would be intimidating if I hadn't already filed an injunction this morning. His face paled. You what? You're being sued for intellectual property theft, Jason. The courts have frozen all assets related to your algorithm pending investigation. You little... He raised his hand, drawing back as if to strike me. I wouldn't. Marco stepped forward, his phone recording. That would add assault to your growing list of legal problems. Jason's hand dropped, his face contorted with rage. You think you can come into my celebration and threaten me? Security, he shouted. Remove these people. 2 security guards approached as a crowd gathered. What's happening here? Uncle Richard pushed through, his face flushed. Your son stole my algorithm, I said clearly, and just threatened me physically when confronted with evidence. That's absurd, Uncle Richard scoffed. Jason has been working on this technology for 8 days, Aunt Sophia interrupted, stepping forward. Since Aviana showed it to him last month. I heard him admit it, Richard. The crowd murmured as Uncle Richard's face darkened. This is hardly the time or place. It's exactly the place, I countered. Where better to discuss fraud than surrounded by the people Jason's attempting to defraud? You'll regret this, Jason snarled, lunging toward me. Marco stepped between us as security grabbed Jason's arms. Sir, please calm down, one guard warned. Get your hands off me. Jason struggled, his elbow connecting with the guard's face. As the security guard staggered back with a bloodied nose, 2 police officers working the event rushed forward. What's going on here? One demanded. This man just assaulted security after threatening me, I said calmly. As the officers restrained a struggling Jason, I caught the eye of a woman with a press badge who was recording everything on her phone. I'll destroy you for this, Jason shouted as the officers escorted him away. The tech journalist approached me. I'm Maya Lin from TechWatch. Care to elaborate on the intellectual property theft you mentioned? I smiled, feeling years of being overlooked fall away. I'd be happy to show you the evidence. All rise. The Honorable Judge Myers presiding in the case of Aviana Nelson versus Jason Blackwell and JTech Solutions. 3 months after the disastrous launch party, I sat beside Marco in a federal courthouse, watching Jason and his legal team across the aisle. The dark circles under his eyes and rumpled suit were a stark contrast to his usual polished appearance. You're sure about rejecting their settlement offer, Marco whispered. $3 million is significant. This was never about money, I replied. After testimony and evidence presentation, we stood for the verdict. On the claim of intellectual property theft, this court finds in favor of the plaintiff, Judge Myers announced. The defendant willfully and maliciously misappropriated proprietary technology developed by Miss Nelson. The court grants full ownership of the algorithm to Miss Nelson, orders the dissolution of JTech Solutions, and awards damages of $4.6 million. Relief flooded through me as Jason slumped in his seat. Outside the courthouse, reporters clustered around us. Miss Nelson, how does it feel to reclaim your technology? A journalist called. It feels like justice, I replied. Success should be earned, not stolen. Later that evening, Emma hosted a small celebration at her apartment with Kyle, Aunt Sophia, and Marco. To Aviana, Kyle raised his glass, who proved that hard work still beats privilege and shortcuts. As glasses clinked, my phone buzzed with Uncle Richard's name. Should I answer? I asked Aunt Sophia. She nodded. He needs to hear this. Hello? I stepped onto Emma's balcony. Aviana, Uncle Richard's voice sounded older. I wanted to apologize. I should have listened when you first made your accusations. They weren't accusations. They were facts. Yes, well, he cleared his throat. Jason has always been, I suppose I enabled certain behaviors. You taught him he could take whatever he wanted without consequences. Silence stretched between us. The family name is being dragged through the mud. Perhaps we could discuss how to handle the public relations aspect together? For the family's sake? I laughed softly. You still don't get it. This was never about the family name. It was about right and wrong. Jason is still your cousin, he said stiffly. He made a mistake. A mistake is forgetting someone's birthday, I interrupted. What Jason did was calculated theft, and it wasn't his first ethical mistake, just the first time he faced consequences. He's asked to speak with you, for closure. No. Aviana, he's family. Tell Jason that neither his apologies nor his excuses interest me. The court has spoken. That's all the closure I need. I ended the call and rejoined my real support system inside. Everything okay? Emma asked. Perfect, I smiled. Uncle Richard wanted me to help rehabilitate the family image, and Jason apparently wants to apologize. And? Kyle prompted. And I'm not interested in either request. Some bridges should stay burned. Aunt Sophia squeezed my hand. Your mother would be so proud. To new beginnings, Marco raised his glass, his gaze lingering on mine. And to consequences, I added. The one thing money can't buy off. Emma refilled our glasses. So what's next for the algorithm and its rightful creator? I smiled, feeling truly unburdened for the first time in months. I'm launching it myself. No shortcuts, no handouts, just hard work and the right people by my side. As conversation flowed around me, I thought about how sometimes justice isn't about getting even. It's about getting what you've earned. And sometimes the best revenge isn't what you take from someone else, but what you build for yourself. What would you do if someone stole your life's work? Would you have the courage to stand up for yourself, even against family? Like and comment with your thoughts.